Hey everybody, welcome to the real United States, and welcome to the Washington National Cathedral, or simply the National Cathedral, here in Washington, D.C. Now, this is the 6th largest cathedral in the world and the 2nd largest in the United States. It is an Episcopal Christian cathedral, and plans for this were originally laid out by George Washington in 1792 during the formation, I guess, the plans for the capital city, what we now call Washington, D.C. It was designed by Pierre L'Enfant. And in almost a century later, in 1893, the Protestant Episcopal Cathedral Foundation was granted a charter by the United States Congress to build the cathedral. Construction then started in about 1907, and it took, get this, about 83 years before the last final was put on. Now, I'm given to understand this is a massive, massive structure. I can't begin to really give you a full scope of this. It's sitting on like 57-acre parcel here in northwest Washington, D.C. And I'm given to understand that the main hall of the cathedral is long enough, is big enough that if you were to lay the Washington Monument on its side, would fit inside. So a huge facility. Now, we're not going to get inside today, but I wanted to bring you here and, tell you a little bit about it. So in 2011, of course, the structure was damaged by the earthquake that happened here in D.C. You may remember, some of you, that the Washington Monument also was damaged and had scaffold around it for a long time being repaired. Well, same thing happened here, and the last of the repairs are essentially done. You may see up behind me on the tower that there is still some scaffolding. I'm not sure if that's really considered part of the repairs on the outside. The inside's been repaired. But there was an enormous amount of repair work that had to be done, and obviously in a structure this size and of this age, there's going to be a continual maintenance operation on it. But it's just a gorgeous structure. There are 57 bells in the carillon, I believe. Don't get angry at me if it's 52. I think it's 57. And I think I've got some footage of the carillon playing. Now this cathedral, I mean, like I said, it's sitting on a 57-acre plot. It is a massive structure. There's no way we can even get it all in one shot. But it is important on so many levels. One of which, of course, is this is the site of 3 state funerals here in the United States. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the term, a state funeral is where a head of state, in this case our president, would be laid to rest after he passed away. And Dwight Eisenhower, Ronald Reagan, and Gerald Ford all had their funerals here at the National Cathedral. Interestingly enough, this is also the cathedral. This is the last pulpit that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. preached from before he was assassinated. So a lot of historical significance here, even in the recent past, certainly in my lifetime. And this is considered a national house of prayer, and I think that's, if I recall correctly, that is what George Washington asked for it to be. So although it is an Episcopal cathedral, it's my understanding, of course, that all faiths are welcome here, and we haven't had the opportunity to experience a service here. Maybe at some future date we'll get a chance to do that. But anyway, it is a beautiful, massive structure, of course, styled in that old medieval kind of appearance. There are 200 stained glass windows in here. I'm given to understand there's even one commemorating the moon landing. There are various reliefs in stone in the work. I think there's one to Washington and one to Lincoln. So a lot of Americana in the woodwork inside, the stonework outside, the glass work in the windows. It's a living monument to the history of the United States. So it's just a really beautiful, beautiful place. I wish there was some way we could get a helicopter or a drone shot, but there isn't, obviously, here in DC. But there's no other way for us to take it in. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this short visit to the National Cathedral here in Washington, D.C. If you got questions or comments, just want to say hi, leave them in the comment section down below. I love hearing from all of you. I try to get back to everybody I can. If you're new here, hey, pick subscribe, come along for the adventure, because we got lots more to show you. And as always, thank you for watching.